when we were developing our systems, and honestly, Jim and I didn't know much about roofing, you know, we were counting on our people to kind of get us through those early phases. Well, now we're at the point to where we know what we have to do and we know what we have to deliver, and we are getting better and better and better at it. And that doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. You know, certainly we do, but we fix them. And I think that that's why we get such great reviews is that, you know, the experience may not have been perfect, but the end result was.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lion's Den. Today I got Joel Kenty. He actually owns Green Knight Metal Roofing in Austin, Texas. And Joel, I got to meet you 4 years ago exactly almost at the bar at the Cosmopolitan having a drink. And you were just starting your company. We're at a conference together, and we just started BSing. How you been, brother?
Good. It's been all good.
Why are we not at Vegas at the bar right now doing this again?
Yeah, exactly, right? Wouldn't be bad.
So, Joel, when I met you, you know, I think we're just starting Green Knight Metal Roofing. It was you, your cousin. He was in tech. I mean, I just got to put you on blast here. How do you tell everybody, Joel, who you are and how you go from what you did to starting a metal roofing company now, which is the biggest metal roofing company in Austin, Texas, after 4 years. So congratulations on your success. Tell everybody who you are, Joel.
Yeah, thanks. So I kind of do not come from a construction background. I was a financial planner for 22 years and had what I would call a pretty successful financial planning practice. Loved what I did, enjoyed working with the clients, helping them meet their goals, establish strategies, manage their investments, all those types of things. But honestly, near the end of my career, I was getting to the point where I just wasn't feeling challenged anymore, wasn't learning enough. And ultimately my head was not in the game. And that is an industry where your head has to be in the game. So if, you know, a mistake there could be critical. So I decided that it was time to leave the industry. I sold my financial planning practice and decided that it was time for something else. My partner, Jim, was in technology, but he's also my cousin, my best friend. We've known each other since we've been in diapers. And for years, we've been talking about getting into business together. And we didn't know what that meant. We didn't know really what it looked like. We just knew we wanted to do something. So about the time I was ready to leave my practice, he was finishing up a big consulting job. And the timing was right for us to go out and start looking for a business to buy. And we looked at everything. I mean, we found there was these bouncy houses for kids. You know, there was coffee shops. There was, you know, windows and siding company. We came really close to buying a bakery, pretty much iconic bakery here in Austin. It's very famous, been around for a long, long time. We actually got outbid on that one, and we were kind of disappointed because we were starting to get pretty excited about being bakers. But when we came across the metal roofing company for sale, it piqued our interest. You know, Central Texas is growing like crazy. Construction in this town is growing like crazy. Jim and I are both very eco-conscious, so we like the product. You know, it's made from recycled material. It's recyclable at the end of its life, very durable, very energy efficient. And so, you know, the business itself was somewhat established. It had been around for 10 years. And while we, you know, we decided to go ahead and make an offer and do the due diligence, we found that there was definitely going to be some challenges, not only just from lack of knowledge of the industry, but the business itself had some challenges to it that we knew we were going to have to address. But we decided to jump in and make the purchase, not knowing a thing about roofing or metal roofing or construction or anything.
So there must be a quick learn because you took this company in 4 years from about $1 million in revenue to about 4.5 last year. And I'm assuming this year in 2021, you're going to hit about 6 million to 7 million. Is that?
That's the target, correct? Yeah.
Okay, so you have this growth. I mean, what's day one that you own a roofing company? I mean, it's a metal roofing company. What's day one? Like you show up, hey guys, I'm here. I'm your financial planner. You want to talk about IRAs? What do you guys want to talk about? I mean, tell me about
those conversations didn't really come up, but no, I mean, we worked out a transition plan with the prior owner. So he was there, I believe it was for 90 days. And so he was our coach. You know, he taught us the difference between a rake and a drip edge, and all these terms that we had no idea what they were, and taught us how the products and who all the suppliers were and all that kind of stuff. So I think that if we had just decided, hey, let's go start a metal roofing company, it would have been a very different experience. But having the prior owner there with us, coaching us through it for the first 90 days, I think was crucial.
So you guys come in, you're passionate, you're hungry, you buy this business, right? I mean, it's time to make the donuts, right? You didn't get the bakery, you got time to make the donuts here, right? Okay.
Right.
You have your 90 days in, this gentleman leaves. You must have said, I'm going to bring some things I learned before and do things differently, because a business that's been around for 10 years is doing $1 million. You do 4.5 in 4 years. That's a big jump. Can you explain to us like what you decided to do differently than what he was doing, and what a lot of businesses that have been out there doing $1 million don't do to scale?
Right. Yeah, I think that one of the very first things that we did was sit down with all the existing employees, and I think that there were 9 at the time. And obviously pick their brains about what they liked and what they didn't like, and what went well and what didn't do well. And one of the things that I did extremely well with my financial planning practice is I had everything completely systematized. If this happened, we do this. If this happens, we do this. And there was never any question about whose responsibility it was or what had to be done. And so the very first thing that we tackled was starting to put some systems in place. Prior owner had everything in his head. And so if anybody needed any information about a job, they always had to go to him. Hey, what's going on with the job? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? And you can't scale like that. And, we'd have employees say, well, should I do such and such? And I'd say, well, is it your job? And they'd say, well, yes, but so-and-so wouldn't let us do that without permission. I'm like, well, if it's your job, do it. Get it done. Don't come to me with everything. And I think that a combination of empowering the people and really starting to build systems, to tackle all the challenges of the growth were crucial. And we're still building those. I mean, every single day we're talking about improving the systems. Our mantra at our business is systems run the business, people run the systems. And yeah, so
systems, what else? You do anything else different than he was doing? Was he advertising? Was he marketing? What was he doing?
He did a lot of radio advertising. He had a very Mickey Mouse kind of website that I think generated a few leads for him, but really there wasn't much. And I think that's where my meeting with you ended up being really crucial, right? Because I had no idea. In my prior career, I didn't have to market, at least not at the stage where I was. All my business came to me from referrals from existing clients. And so I didn't have a Facebook page for my business, or, I had a LinkedIn profile. I think that was probably it. And so learning from you and your team about, all the different aspects of social marketing, using Facebook and LinkedIn and Google My Business and putting in a website in place that actually is actively managed. I think that the website the prior owner had hadn't been touched since the day it was implemented, probably 5 or 6 years earlier. And just doing a tremendous amount putting a tremendous amount of effort into the social marketing right from the get-go. And then also we tried other venues. We tried radio advertising at first. We tried print advertising, mailers. I mean, we did it all. But the big mistake that I made at first was that we decided pretty quickly after the prior owner left that we needed to rebrand the business. And there were a lot of reasons for that. But we decided it needed a different name and it needed a different image and something that we could be more creative with in our marketing. And so I stopped the marketing that was in place because I thought my attitude was, well, I don't want to be marketing for a name that I'm going to be changing in 3 months. And that ended up being a huge mistake because lead generation in our industry is the lifeblood. And to turn off the lead sources while I was coming up with a new name and coming up with a new website and coming up with the marketing plan, man, it was dismal for several months.
I forgot about that we went through your rebrand with you and we helped you. I forgot all about that until you just said it. I remember you going back and forth with me, texting and emailing me these different names. I think like one was like an armadillo you sent me, right? Was armadillo on the table?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we were that, except we found another company that had the same name.
I forgot all about that. I was like, oh yeah. I didn't stop your marketing, man. I would never tell someone to do that. So what's your number one lead source right now besides referrals? I'm assuming you guys do great customer service, great experience. You implemented a lot of corporate stuff to this business. Besides referral, what's your number one way of lead gen?
So we still buy a tremendous amount of leads. So we still buy a lot of leads from Home Advisor. So that is one of our biggest lead sources. It is something that eventually, I think it's a good enough lead source that we will always continue to use it. I think that at some point in time, our other lead sources will become a bigger part of our marketing, and we won't need to do as much Home Advisor, but for the time being, it's serving its purpose. But equal to Home Advisor is lead generation from SEO. It's leads coming in through the website. People calling us up saying, "Hey, I Googled you guys, or I Googled metal roofing, and you guys came up first." Or you guys have a great web presence. I saw all your reviews and all those kind of things. And so that is probably equal in number of leads to what we get from Home Advisor. But I would also say that the quality of leads that we get from our own lead generation is much higher. Home Advisor, you're buying that lead, they're selling it to 2 or 3 other contractors. And so immediately you're in a situation where you're in a competitive environment. With our own SEO and our own lead generation, they've been to our website, they've snooped around, they've looked at the website, and they're already somewhat educated on who we are and what we do. And in most cases, they've already checked out our reviews before they even contact us. And so we find that our web leads close at a higher rate and typically close larger deals than what we get from Home Advisor.
Here's a question for you, because you brought it up. Most people, and you've seen me speak now, I think when I was there with you, Facebook or Google might have been with me there, might not have been at that time, but most people think someone just does a quick search, and like you said, I saw you at the top metal roofing company, and they might convert right away. Like you said, people call you up and say, also, I checked out your reviews, I saw your social media. Do you think the buyer is becoming more savvy, looking at more things than just your website after they find you? Do you think there's more of a discovery phase?
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that that's the case. Now, again, from a Home Advisor, it's one step better than a cold call, right? They know someone's going to call them, but other than that, it's they haven't done any research at all on us, right? Maybe they came across our Home Advisor profile, but not likely. versus the lead that actually comes directly to us. They often tell us, hey, I checked you out on Yelp. I checked you out on Google My Business or your Google page. I checked out, your website. I saw your, I saw your ad or whatever, but it's usually multiple sources. We do radio advertising. And so, hey, I heard you on the radio, and then I went and checked out your reviews before I gave you a call. So there's no doubt in my mind that the clientele is becoming a lot more savvy and a lot more adept at looking and doing the research before they give us a call.
You told me something about metal roofs makes about 15% of all roofing in America right now. Your distributors, you're buying more metal right now, metal roofs, than anyone else in Austin, that Texas area right now. What do you think has been, besides the marketing and systems, what do you think separates Green Knight from other metal roofing companies? That's all you do. So I get that. I don't think most people understand that. If you're doing metal roofs, you're probably not good doing tar roofs. You're not doing shingle. It's a totally different craftsmanship, but that's a whole nother conversation. But what do you think separates Green Knight to climb the ladder so fast?
Well, honestly, I would tell you that the fact that we specialize is probably one of the biggest reasons. There are many roofing companies. I mean, gosh, you think about all the roofing companies all over the United States. I mean, I don't know, tens of thousands, right? In Austin, there are dozens and dozens and dozens. To my knowledge, we are the only one that is a specialist that only does metal roofing. We actually will turn away business if it's not a metal roof. And we get a lot of clients coming to us because of that. They say, hey, we've got a pretty complex roof. We want to deal with people who are specialists. And so that alone has been a big part of our marketing. And that is how we differentiate ourselves in our marketing. Beyond that, we are getting a lot better at our delivery experience. In the past, I would say we had a lot of challenges when we were developing our systems. And honestly, Jim and I didn't know much about roofing. We were counting on our people to kind of get us through those early phases. Well, now we're at the point to where we know what we have to do and we know what we have to deliver, and we are getting better and better and better at it. And that doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. Certainly we do, but we fix them. And I think that that's why we get such great reviews is that, the experience may not have been perfect, but the end result was. And so we continue to learn from our mistakes and continue to improve what we do and do whatever we can to get that delivery experience to the client and be the absolute best that it can be.
So when we talked 4 years ago, you're coming from being a financial advisor. You probably didn't think reviews and social media would impact you. I mean, I knew we talked about SEO a lot that day at the Cosmopolitan.
Right.
A lot. We talked about PPC. We talked about remarketing. But social media was kind of like, and then reviews were kind of like, which I always believed in social media. How has your mind shifted now that people are saying to you, I see you on Facebook, I see your reviews. Are you a believer now, or are you still,
Well, I think I was a believer back then. It was just something that I didn't know anything about. But I am definitely a believer now. There is no doubt in my mind that you have to have a strong social presence in today's market. There's just no doubt about it. And Google is the one that I think that we hear the most from. I Googled you, or I saw your reviews on Google, or something like that. Certainly we hear it from Yelp, and certainly we get quite a bit of contact from our Facebook page as well. But Google by far is the most.
Google's the killer, the 800-pound gorilla in the service industry. It's just the multiple touch points where even for hiring employees, they're going to your social media page, checking out your culture. Could you talk about that at all, how you're using that?
That's an interesting point. We do use Facebook for our recruiting. It has been one of the best ways to find our new people. And we've been growing quite dramatically. As I said, when we bought the business, it had 9 employees. I think we're up at about 35 now.
Amazing.
And a good amount of those employees came to us from Facebook ads.
You never thought that, right?
Never, no.
So here's my question to you. You probably never looked at yourself as a leader. Now you're in charge of 35 lives, their family. People don't understand the responsibility. I try to explain to people, someone said to me, Lance, how do you put your head on the pillow at night and sleep? You got over 200 some employees from all your companies. I'm like, you learn as you grow. Can you talk about that transition from being just a financial advisor? You probably had you and maybe 1 or 2 other people on your staff.
Right.
Probably right. And now you've got 35 lives that rely on you. The community now looks at you as a leader because you have your size organization. You're involved in the community at some level. I'm sure we talk about that. Can you talk about that transition from, I don't use the word employee when you had your own financial planner, but you definitely aren't the leader that you have to be today. Can you talk about that transition?
Yeah, that's not something I've given a tremendous amount of thought to, quite honestly. Now that you mentioned it, the stress level has just gone up. But no, we do take our role as leaders very, very seriously. Our people are extremely important to us, and not only from the standpoint of we want them to enjoy working where they are. We want them to grow. We're encouraging them to take classes and get certifications and do those types of things so that there's professional development in addition to, enjoying working for Green Knight. So I think that's part of leadership, right? Is helping people to develop and grow and become better at what they do and what they want to do.
What would you say the biggest lesson you learned about yourself being a leader in your role is? That you communicate to someone else that's either buying or starting a company? What would you say you had to figure out on your own that was pretty tough?
We took a lot of lumps, particularly those early years. I mean, every single day we were learning lessons, but we were not only learning lessons, we were learning expensive lessons. And, when you have to do someone's roof twice because it wasn't properly supervised or what have you. That's a big learning, right? So I don't know that I have one thing that I would call the biggest lesson, as much as it's just been a tremendous evolution of lessons, starting out with very, very expensive lessons. And fortunately here recently, not quite so many of those. But there isn't a day that goes by that we're not learning something new about the industry or the market, or about our product or about our people. And that's what's exciting about it.
Tell me, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. You're on social media now. Everyone thinks they're the next whatever, right? Kardashian, it's going to happen overnight. True entrepreneurs, they doubt themselves at times. They are very scared going into it. They're very nervous. This isn't a movie. I'm running my first day. When you're driving to work your first time in it, you're like, oh shit, I just got to be like everything, you're thinking all these different thoughts when you're starting a company or building a company, whatever it may be. Can you tell me about the defining moment when you knew you had that all moment where you were like, we got this. We're going to get through this and we're going to make it work. Can you talk to me about that? Yeah,
I don't know that that's happened yet.
I mean, you seem like you're doing pretty good.
The funny thing is that, when I was in finance, I always used to think, oh, well, once I achieve this level, I'm going to be there. And then you'd achieve that level and you say, okay, well, once I achieve this level, then, I will have made it. And, the bar just kept getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And I think that we're kind of in the same boat is that we have accomplished a tremendous amount in the last 4 years, but we are nowhere near where we think we're going to be.
No, when I say defining moment, meaning you know this business would work, it's not going to fail. Not that I made it financially, not that I'm not my goals, but I know I made it. I don't have to worry about the lights being turned off and it's all found.
Yeah. And again, I'm not sure we're there yet. No, I mean, I think that, you know, the thing about business, right, is that you're cooking along, everything's going great, you know, things are just all cylinders are firing, and then COVID happens, right? And so, you know, it's stuff like that has the potential to derail you at any given time, and that's the difference between being an entrepreneur and being an employee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're an employee, again, you could be laid off, but you know, there's a level of security to being an employee for a big company, and you've got a benefits program and all of these types of things, right? When you're an entrepreneur, sometimes there is no safety net, and
No, there is no safety net.
yeah, and
I mean, for small business entrepreneurs, for the big airlines, yeah, the government will bail them out. For these big corporations, the government will bail. No one's bailing Joel out. No one's bailing Lance Bachman out. It's Sarah and I are see you. Bye bye.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I say that you know, I think that we're still, you know, on you know, always on the edge. I mean, yes, I think that we're going to survive, and yes, I think we're going to be tremendously successful. But as an entrepreneur, you always have to have, I think that some level of doubt in there, because that's what drives you to continue to keep pushing. The second you step back and you say, okay, I got this, something's going to bite you.
You brought up COVID, so let's just put it out there. Crazy time of year. People, you're down in Texas. You're in Austin, more Democratic part of Texas than the rest of Texas, which is pretty Republican. You know, what advice would you give to people right now in the roofing industry, not just metal, that are struggling because of the pandemic? That some roofing companies are flourishing, some are struggling, because I truly believe the roofing companies that are flourishing have the entrepreneurial spirit like you. They know to advertise more. They know to put systems in place, processes, customer experience. The smaller organizations don't know how to pivot and change. What advice would you give that you've used in the last year?
Yeah, so I think that probably the biggest piece of advice I would give to somebody who's maybe struggling or maybe new in the business is, of course, just keep your head down and keep at it. But one of the mistakes that I made early on in my finance career, and I would say we also made in the early stages of having this roofing company, is you tend to take any client that has a pulse in their checkbook, right? And all business is good business, and then that's not necessarily true. In fact, it's not at all true. So when I was in finance, it took me a few years to learn that lesson, but eventually you got to the point to where you start learning who you say no to. You know, I'm going to work with this type of client, or I'm going to work with these. You know, clients that have this particular goal or these particular characteristics. And I think that that's no different in the home improvement industry. Is you can have projects that are too small, and you think, oh, well, I'm going to take this because it's business right now. And, you know, these people may beat you up on price. And then once you get the deal and you're trying to do the job, and they're small mistake, and what little profit was in that business or in that job is gone, right? And so, you know, I guess the advice would say is be very particular about the type of clients that you want to work with, and make sure that your pricing is fair. And fair is not only fair to them; it's fair to you. And it's something that one of our recent interactions said, you know, a great example of a horse trade is when everybody leaves on a horse, right?
No doubt.
You know, you want to make sure that you're dealing with people who respect you as a professional and are going to pay you appropriately for the work that you do.
You know, and you talk about horse trade, everybody walking out with a horse, you know, moving, you know. Said Google gives you better leads. I'm assuming the average metal roof still costs somewhere between 10 and 20,000. Is that an accurate number?
A small project for us would be 20,000.
And a bigger one, 50,000?
Yeah, I mean, we've done six-figure roofs.
So six-figure roofs. So would it be safe to say, I'm not trying, if you're spending $2,000-3,000 a month on, or let's say 5,000 a month on digital marketing, what do you X that every month about on ROI, would you say, ballpark?
Oh man, I've never done that math. That would, I guess, would be good to know.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. 10 times. I mean,
So you spend, so in theory, I'm just saying, you spend 10,000 on the internet on roofing campaign. You're going to make 100,000 that month in business. That's 10 times. Is that an accurate number?
yeah, it's actually probably, I guess it's probably bigger than that. I mean, if
Bigger than
you
that.
just do the simple math, right? I mean, if we're going to do, say, 6 million this year, that's 500,000 a month. You know, our spending, I think, is 12,000 a month on budgeting. I mean, on marketing.
Okay.
And so, you know, it's,
You're happy.
yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's one of those things that where we're probably, you know, as we grow, you continue to push that budget up, right? I mean, you have to.
That's a nice part about you being a financial advisor. Prior to this, you understand gains. Some people don't understand ROI. I hit you that question off the side and you broke it down real fast. You're like, no, it's actually probably more than 10x. Like, you understand numbers. I mean, do you think that helps you with being a CEO of this organization, help you run it day to day?
Well, there's no doubt. You know, having the financial background has been tremendously helpful in this. You know, just, you know, my background was, you know, investment, right? And so everything that we do, I think about it in those terms. If I invest this much money in marketing, what is my return going to be, right? If I invest this much in this piece of equipment, what am I going to get out of it? And so I think about that with every financial decision that we make in the business.
So, you know, you have Green Light Roofing, you're growing, but let's be realistic. Most of your clients don't know you. What would be the one thing you'd want them to know about you? If right now, what's something no one knows about you? What would you want them to know about Joel?
You know, I don't know that there's anything that nobody knows about me, because I'm kind of an open book. You know, just from a social standpoint, I think that sometimes people are surprised when they realize I don't ever use swear words. And I never thought that was a big deal, but when people hear that, they're usually amazed and astounded. I was just, you know, just this way I like to communicate, just everything nice and clean all the time. But from a customer standpoint, I would think that what I would want them to know is that it's really truly. And this is no joking around. It really truly is our focus to make sure that our customers have the absolute best experience and they get the absolute best product that is available. Because from a personal standpoint, solely from a business standpoint, I know that our chances of growing are greater the better experience and the greater product that we provide, right? If we cut corners, if we don't do a job delivering the product or service, then we're not going to continue to grow. And so I would want, you know, our customers to know that this is the most important thing to us, is that we get this right and we deliver the absolute best experience we can.
You know, and let's talk about that, getting it right, putting time into it. You're self-educating all the time, I'm assuming, because you don't come from a roofing background where most people look down on roofing. They think it's a dirty business, not good people, high drug use, drinking use. If you're not swearing, I can't imagine you're drinking too often. You're doing too many drugs.
Right.
Is that an accurate statement about the roofing business?
Yeah, I absolutely. And honestly, I would say that I was guilty of some of that myself. When we bought the business, I thought this is going to be easy. Anybody can do this. And I was wrong. I think that if you're a sole practitioner and you're doing one job at a time, that's very different than the business that we have created and what we're trying to continue to create. But the reality is that nobody can do math in their heads faster than the guys that I have on the roof. I mean, these guys do geometry like you would not believe. They're extremely intelligent guys. One of the guys that came with the company who was with the prior owner the longest, he runs all of our fabrication and our roll forming. My gosh, to hear that guy talk, I mean, he just knows it. He just knows it, and there's never a question that he can't answer. And so, yes, my perception of roofers has changed dramatically. I have a much, much higher respect for the industry and for the people that do the job. And these guys work harder than anybody.
It's a brutal job.
You can just imagine being on a hot metal roof when it's 110 degrees in Texas.
No, I'm not going to imagine that because I passed out.
I'm not going to do it. These guys are nuts.
You have 2 kids, if I remember correctly, correct?
Right.
How do you go from being a financial advisor, where I'm assuming your hours had to be 8 to 5, 8 to 4? I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, I'm sure you had some night visits here and there. You were getting cruised out by 6:30, 6 in the morning. You're going through your tech job, see what's on the board, getting people out. How do you manage, because it's just longer hours, how do you flip from that to work-life balance with 2 kids?
Well, I would say that my role in running a roofing company is not what you would normally perceive. So my partner Jim is the guy who's up at the shop at 7 in the morning. Getting the crews laid out and sent out and managing the workflow and that kind of stuff. My role is kind of more the office stuff.
Okay.
The marketing and the finance and the human resources and, the systems development and those types of things. So from my standpoint, it is not, from a scheduling and from a life balance standpoint, it actually is not that much different. I'm very schedule driven. I get up at the same time every day. I eat at the same time every day. I work out at the same time every day. And I leave the office at the same time every day. And everybody knows my schedule. And nobody would ever schedule something to me outside of my schedule unless they checked with me first. And so from that standpoint, I am able to maintain, the quote work-life balance, because I schedule out everything. I even schedule out, my activities, my fun stuff. It's on my calendar.
No, so, I hear that. So let's talk about that. You said you handle marketing. On the final roar, because this is a marketing show and about growing your business. In the last 4 years, how has digital marketing and social media just transformed your business forever, do you believe? How's it changed, or how's it transformed you, made you believe in it? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it transformed it from day one, quite honestly. I mean, from that first conversation you and I had at the bar, I had a much different attitude on how the business needed to be marketed. And I think that the longer we do this, the more I am a believer in the fact that digital marketing is the way to go. Certainly we get leads from some print advertising, and certainly we get some leads from radio, but we don't get the volume of leads from any other source like we get through our social media and our SEO marketing. It is really the only way to market a home improvement business.
Well, Joel, I know you're busy. I want to thank you for being on the Den. I appreciate it. Congratulations on all your success. I hope you understand, because a lot of my viewers would love to have a $6 million business this year, right? And you grew it from $1 million. It's unheard of in such a short amount of time, especially for two people with no industry background. You should be looked at from everyone that wants to be an entrepreneur and say, these are the people I should be talking to. How did they do it? They had no experience. They had no friends guiding them along the way. You just pretty much, I hate to use the word, you manned up or womaned up. It doesn't make a difference. But you powered up and said, I'm going to go do it. And you did it. Congratulations to you and all your success, man.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Joel, thank you for being on. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to follow me at Lance Bachman on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Lance Bachman Digital. And every Thursday we drop a new podcast. Don't forget to listen to it. We're giving out great content. And remember this is the time to build your business right now. Let's effing go, everybody.